twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor. And they try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, laying. Got it. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Wayne Spooney here for First to the Floor. And do you hear that off in the distance, Jake? The faint squeaking of sneakers in the Auerbach Center. I'm here with Jake. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I can hear him over in Worcester, my favorite suburb in Massachusetts.
How dare you?
Yeah, man. It's getting close. You know, it feels like Christmas or Hanukkah is right around the corner.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, like the media team is pumping out some incredible content, which we'll get to later on. But yeah, you can feel it. You can feel it.
It's
Basketball's
coming,
in the air. They're going to save us from this Patriots season.
Yeah, my Twitter is slowly morphing from a bunch of politics back to basketball, and it's a very beautiful change. I'm very excited about it. Before we go on, like and subscribe. I don't know what we're going to do right now for the playbacks of the preseason games, at least as it relates to the crazy Abu Dhabi games, but keep an eye out. We will be doing some of them.
I will be, we're definitely going to be live for playback on the two preseason games. It will be 2 a.m. My time, but I will be there leading the charge.
All right.
Do not worry. Yes, I'll be there for the first couple in preseason. But yeah, we're probably gonna have a couple of new hosts on the playback from the new Celtics blog writers and stuff throughout the season. But yeah, super excited to get back into playback as well.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Jake and I are writing for Celtics blog. Jake just published an Al Horford piece. Do you have anything else coming up?
Yeah, I've just submitted one on Jaylen Brown's leadership as well.
Nice.
And how he's taken that emotional leader role. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just submitted on Joe Mazzulla turning the Celtics into executioners. So check those out. And before we talk actual hoops, we have a big announcement. If you follow us on socials, you may already know about this, but we have launched a Patreon. So first things first, if you listen to this show, you like this show, and you do not want to pay us for content, you're in luck. The show is not changing. Our normal show will still go on. The Patreon is for folks who want additional content, which we will be producing throughout the season. We got a bunch of different levels. The first level, tier 1, the Bus One Boys, is access to our Discord. We're already over 200 members. And if you are a Bus One Boy, there is now a voicemail thread in the Discord. You can jump on there, record your own voicemails that we will use on the show, but you have to be a Discord subscriber to use the voicemail feature. If you're already in the Discord, congratulations, you get it for free. You're grandfathered in for being one of our OGs.
That's right.
But it'd be sweet if you wanted to pay for it too. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. We will accept it if you want to pay for it as well. But yeah, Bus One Boys. But yeah, look, okay, keep going, Spoony. Sorry.
Okay, all right, here we go. So tier 2, Love and Trusted. This is going to be exclusive content, additional podcasts that'll probably be less produced and more just us kind of riffing, maybe talking about the broader NBA more, maybe talking about completely off-topic shit or stuff that's happened to us recently that we need to get off our chest. Be a monthly player deep dive. What I'm most excited for, the monthly Awesome Hoops check-in. And then and then obviously you get everything from tier 1. And then tier 3, the Chase for Banner 19. Access to our fantasy league, which I think Ben started today, or we're going to start very soon. Behind the scenes content, which will include like immediate reactions to big NBA news that we're going to film individually on our cell phones. So like if that cat trade hits and you want to see how much Jake is going to make fun of Karl Anthony Towns immediately, we will have something up on the Patreon for you if you are on the tier 3 and discount merch. And then behind the scenes is going to be more than that. It's going to be like the making of and like sort of the vlog, like what we did for Vegas. So anyway, that's a lot of information. Check it out. I think we're going to do a free trial here in the next couple weeks sometime. We'll announce that as well.
But yeah, man, look, this is super exciting. And to everybody that's like been supporting the show, we are so grateful for how far this thing has grown. Like Z Gamer in the chat, we got a bunch of OGs in the chat here, but like we got people here that have been here from 0 subscribers, and to be where we are today is pretty awesome. But yeah, so we put in a ton of work. So obviously to get paid for all of the work that we do is great, but then we invest a ton of our own money, or some of our own money, into the show as well. So to help us improve the show, make the content better for you guys, that's really the whole point of this. But yeah, important to emphasize that like everything that you love about the show is going to stay the same. Celtics Late Night, the immediate reactions that we do like just straight after the show, games on YouTube, like all that stuff's going to be there as well anyway. So like we didn't want like the idea of like building this thing up and then ripping what you guys have got used to away, and putting it behind a paywall. So this is super exciting, but yeah, get amongst.
Yeah, man, please join the Patreon. But I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll be really awesome to make some kind of different content for us as well. And Z Gamer, no Ben for the Patreon announcement. Yes, I know it's a shame he could not make it tonight, but we wanted to go live. At some point, they're playing a game like next week, right? So we just wanted to get this live. It's really bad timing. He was planned to be on the show, and he had something come up, so he couldn't make it. So it does feel wrong to do it without Ben, but he's there. He's here in spirit, gentlemen, I promise. Yes. And ladies, sorry.
Yeah, Ben has done so much of like talk about how much work we put in. Like he is the wizard.
Doubles us combined.
The Wizard of Oz. Wizard of Oz doesn't even have helpers because they didn't even really need him. Like I was going to say we're like the Lion and the Tin Man, but they were kind of enemies. So we'll work on that one for next time.
Yeah. Are we the Munchkins then? I don't know.
I'm definitely a Munchkin.
Yeah. So anyway, the link to the Discord is in the description. I believe there's also a QR code that I don't know where it is right now. I'm sorry, I'm screwing this up, Ben. But Ben also tweeted it out. We will be tweeting it out.
It's in the YouTube links.
Yeah, it's in the YouTube links. Like it's in our link tree. It's very easy to find. Oh, I think it's in the QR code actually on your screen right now, right below me. So please check it out. And really, we seriously, Jake, you nailed it. We really appreciate everyone's support, including Eric Weiss, who's getting a joke off at Jake's expense right now.
That's right.
Which I also
Jay in the chat, no, you will not have to pay to watch late night post game shows. That'll be free still. I think everything that you're used to will still be free. It's just if you want more of the Munchkin and Spoony and Ben, then you got to pay a little bit extra.
Yeah,
the Lollipop Guild. I'll be the Munchkin leader of the Lollipop Guild. No worries.
Yeah, you should see me in some red high heels though, Jake. I mean, fucking killer. Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't see that in Vegas. All right, Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns, the New York Knicks.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, dude. Fucking right off the top, just what were your thoughts when you saw that? Because this is a big trade, and a like for like trade in a lot of ways that really doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, like the Mikal Bridges trade, right? It's like obviously one team is going in one direction and one team is going in the opposite direction. This is like two contenders trade, like swapping stars, swapping playoff droppers for each other, swapping overpaid superstars for each other. I mean, it's hard for me because like my brain, I'm goes straight to like, how is this good for the Celtics? And like my brain just goes to spin it that way. So I've tried to, take in how it could be good for the Knicks, how it could be, good for the Wolves. My main takeaway, like straight away, was like Tatum likes playing against Karl Anthony Towns,
yes,
and has done for like the most of his career. Like Tatum's best game of the season last year was when they played the Wolves and Rudy Gobert was out in Boston, and it was Towns at the 5, and Tatum went off for like 45 in overtime. So that was my initial thought. Was like, again, we've talked about this in the offseason. There's two things that are true. Did the Knicks get better in a vacuum? And then Celtics exceptionalism brain, does it help you actually beat the Celtics? And the answer to the second one in pretty much every case is a no.
Yeah. So, and I think the first thing I thought of is like, doesn't Tibbs hate him? Or like, if he doesn't, like he's going to again eventually, right? So I just don't really, I get it for Minnesota insofar as you don't want to pay Cat's ridiculous salary, and Julius Randle, I believe, is an expiring contract. But Yeah, I guess, if I'm the Knicks, I'm thinking like he is better than Julius Randle. I don't know how much better he is than Julius Randle, but he is better. Like I don't believe in Randle defensively at all, which is like me kind of like thinking like, wow, this is really going to submarine their defense. Then I'm like, well, actually, is it? Because they traded Julius Randle, who also can't really defend. But I think Randle is better on the perimeter than Cat.
Yes.
Defensively, he's a worse rim protector, which is kind of crazy because Cat is a really bad rim protector for a 7-footer. But just like being 7 foot really helps when you're trying to protect the rim. It's just he never gets there because he's so like late to read the play and so slow footed. So, yeah. And then from the Celtics perspective, it just really, I feel like DiVincenzo is the bigger loss almost to me.
Yeah.
Like he was really fucking good this year. I think he averaged like 18 a game on 40% shooting on ridiculous volume. Insane. And a solid defender, like a solid wing defender. Those guys are really hard to find. So like that's some serious positive value for Minnesota too.
So I think we have to be a little bit fair though, because we have been harping on the fact that we could not take the Knicks seriously because we did not believe in their center rotation. Then obviously Mitch Robinson goes down until January. They're relying on Jericho Sims and Precious Achiuwa, which is kind of a joke if you're trying to win a title. And then they go get Karl Anthony Towns, which is like an obvious, I think fit-wise, like on paper, the clean fit of Cat at the 5, as opposed to like Randle OG at the 4-5. Is one of them coming off the bench? Is one of them not playing in closing at crunch time? The emotional fit, like Randle not being happy playing center, not having the ball in his hands a ton. I think from that perspective, you have to like it for the Knicks. Like offensively, I think this gives them a massively different ceiling that they had before. Like Brunson, Towns, pick and pops, like that's going to be absolutely lethal. Brunson is a much better offensive creator than Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks have much better spacing than the Wolves. Like OG Anunoby, elite corner shooter. Mikal Bridges, good shooter. Josh Hart, if that's going to be their 5th guy, that still gives you a guy you can help off. He can kind of go on stretches, but like offensive upgrade, I think for your main guys for sure. But as you said, Donte was like a Klay Thompson level shooter. Like if you remember, there was a Pacers game in the playoffs. I forget the exact number.
He's just firing, dude.
Yeah, 30 plus, all on threes. Like he went absolutely nuclear, and they lose that. So like to lose Donte and Towns, they're in the same tier. Even though Randle made a couple of Mickey Mouse All NBAs, he still made multiple All NBA teams. He's a floor raiser when it comes to the regular season. Yeah. Massive playoff dropper. And so here's the thing: like why I don't like this trade for the Wolves the most, like. We're both down on Randle, and we might even be like Randle less than we like Towns. We're both kind of out on Towns as a playoff player, but they're now just very reliant on Towns. At least before with Randle, it was like he was part of like the machine to me. He was like Brunson at the head of the snake, and then obviously he was going to be like probably their second ball handler. But now it's like Towns is going to be your number 2 guy, and we had DJ Ace, Knicks film school on the pod. One, he was, like they need a second creator in Randle to lessen that burden of Brunson. They don't have that now. Towns is not a creator. He's a play finisher. He can like do it. He's not like KP in the post. So like you're missing that. And then, man, and Towns with the ball in his hands. DJ posted a bunch of clips of like Towns just losing the ball with on drives in the playoffs. He has the exact same doo-doo mode brain that Randle has.
Yeah, and I think, and DJ hit this point really well when he was defending Julius Randle from our attacks.
Yes.
Is like Randle forces you to put 2 on the ball when he has it lots of the time. Karl Anthony Towns really does not. I remember vividly having like Towns try to post up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and him not really being able to do anything against that. That should be a mismatch for him. Like if you are a superstar center, like you should be able to put Jaylen Brown, well, maybe not, maybe Jason Tatum like into the basket. Like we saw Gafford have a couple like post ups on Tatum, right? Like you can get him if you are supposedly
could probably post up on Tatum, I think.
Right? Yeah,
access potentially.
Oh yeah, 100%. So, and then I'm not saying Tatum's like a bad post defender. In fact, he's really, really good, especially for his position. But like, if you are supposedly the second best player on a championship team, you need to be able to punish guys who are smaller than you on post-ups, and he can't do that. He obviously can't put it on the floor and create an isolation, so he basically is just a pick and pop big, which is super valuable. But is it your second best player when he's also not a good defensive player? I don't think so, man. Like Towns and Randle really represent like my least favorite player archetype, which is like the offense only big man, where it's like I would rather have a defense only big man who can catch lobs than a dude who shoots threes and gets smoked on the other end. Like I feel like it's a lot easier to build your offense to hide someone in the playoffs than it is, especially a big who can like set picks and roll to the rim and stuff like that, than it is to hide a slow-footed center that a team can just bring out to the perimeter and pick a roll and pick on them. And that's what Tatum roasted his ass in that overtime game. I posted the clips like right after I saw the trade came down. Like he was saucing him and he had absolutely no chance. And that's with Rudy Gobert protecting the rim behind him and Jalen McDaniels on the wing and Anthony Edwards on the, which the Knicks have great wing defenders, so that will still hold. But like he ain't got Gobert anymore. Their defense was considerably worse with Towns on the court without Rudy Gobert last year. And I think that's the problem. You were like building this amazing defensive team, and then like he kind of undermines all of that, especially when Brunson's out there too. Like I just don't see how you like build a elite playoff defense with those two guys who have to play because they're your two best players.
Yeah, obviously OG and Mikhail are great defenders, but then Hart's a good defender, but he's small and he's going to be playing. I guess he's the 2/3, but he's kind of their like power forward at the same time. Against the Celtics, you got three guys out there that you can attack, and it's just not a sustainable solution for a playoff series. I saw Knicks 100 AGM in the chat here. How are you going to defend the pick and fade? The Celtics aren't going to have any issues kind of dealing with it. You can either switch it, get over the screens, come play up to the level. I'm also just like not scared of Towns going absolutely nuclear on you. So in the Dallas series in particular, right? He only shot 36% from three in the playoffs, which is like okay on 5 attempts a game. Again, pretty good volume, but if you're going to be like the hub and be like the weapon that unlocks everything, you need more than that. In the Dallas series, 2 for 9, 1 for 5, 0 for 8, 4 for 5 when they were already down 3-0, and then 1 for 6 in the closeout. And when that's everything, it's like when Tatum's missing threes, it's like he's offering so much more. You're so reliant on this guy now, and he's just a bozo, dude, when it comes to big moments. I think Knicks fans are going to hate him.
They are, dude. They're all going to turn on him by like February.
Yeah.
Dude, and like I hate this as a way to like evaluate players. But if there is one guy in the NBA this applies to, it's Karl Anthony Towns, the cat. He's got no dog in him, dude. Like he has no dog in him at all. And like I hate using that. People use it for Tatum. Like I think it's way overused. But this is the poster child.
No, it applies sometimes.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, right.
He like Tatum has the dog in him. He might not be screaming. It's like Cat has like the fake dog sometimes. He'll be screaming and oh man, there's gonna be
when he's up 20.
When he's up 20, man, like, and he's so turnover prone as well on drives. He's incredibly prone to picking up fouls. Like he's constantly in foul trouble, and that was as the 4 in Minnesota, and now he's going to be your main guy as the rim protector. Like I saw people talking about, this is could be good or bad for the Sixers, for example, right? Like having a pick and pop big against the Sixers can be really good, but I think, did you put this in the notes? Embiid had 51 against Towns last season.
I did.
I feel like Embiid loves playing Towns anecdotally without actually having a look at it deeply. Like Miles Turner, Drummond, Towns, all these guys that are like modern big men, but that just means that they're skilled offensively with bad defense.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Embiid had 51. I will say Towns had a +15 net rating against Philly last year, which is pretty damn good. So I think there's something too that he can pull Embiid out of the paint and make, although Embiid only played in one of those games.
Yeah.
And it was the game where his net rating was not as good and they destroyed Philly after Embiid went down and everybody was killing them. So I'm not sure how much you can really take away from the two matchups last year. And then Minnesota was so shit the year before. Like they were a complete mess that first season with Gobert. So like, I'm not sure you can really pull much from that either. So I think it's like it's almost how we evaluate it, right? Like I am worried about the Knicks offense now, much more so than I was with Julius Randle. And I'm way less concerned about their defense just because Cat also means Mitchell Robinson's going to play less when or if he's ever healthy. And apparently they're taking calls on him now. So who knows if he's ever going to play for them again. But like in Robinson and Cat makes absolutely zero sense. So you just paid Robinson a bunch of money and then you basically replace him with a dude who can't play defense. So it like Randle can play next to Robinson. There's no doubt about that. So I don't know. It's just a really strange, fascinating trade for the Knicks, I think, in a lot of ways. It's like does talent trump all?
Yeah, but like they also sent out more talent when you add DiVincenzo and Towns together. Yeah, so no one's talking about Cat at the 4 lineup. So obviously to replicate what the Minnesota Timberwolves did, you just kind of touched on it.
So Robinson's playing 15 minutes a night. You paid him $60 million, like or whatever it was.
So obviously Minnesota had one of the best had the best defense in the league last year, and for all of the warts that Gobert, I know people make fun of him for, he is maybe the best rim protector in the history of the NBA. He is also one of the most durable players in the league at his position, plays a ton of minutes. Mitchell Robinson is like, he's a good player when he's on the court, but he's not Rudy Gobert level defensively, not even in the same stratosphere. And so defensively, that's not going to be as good. And offensively, Mitchell Robinson's similar to Gobert in that you can put Tatum on, do what they did against Dallas, right? You're putting 100%. one of the wings on Robinson, and then you're just switching it, and now you have another good defender on Brunson. So like I don't like that look for them, which is why I didn't believe in the ceiling of Minnesota either, because I just don't like the idea of having a guy out there that you can completely submarine your offense. Knicks 100 GM, you will be fine, but you will be losing to the Celtics.
Yeah. Like, I want to be very clear. Like, the Knicks are the second or third best team in the East. Like, this definitely doesn't change that, and I think it maybe makes them a better regular season team. I think we're really specifically talking about like the Knicks are going to make the playoffs. They will probably have home court advantage in the first round, no doubt about it, barring like catastrophic injuries. They are a really, really, really good team. We are talking about what it looks like in like the second and third round of the playoffs. And that's where the problems with Karl Anthony Towns and all these offense first, no defense centers. It's like, yeah, it looks great in Sacramento when Sabonis is throwing up triple doubles and you're 48, got 48 wins. And then you lose in the first round because the Warriors can just attack him on every possession, man. Like it really, really difficult to build your team around these types of guys. And like, Randle's kind of an issue too, but I really think like Randle can play the 4. Like he can defend on the perimeter against like 95% of the NBA teams. Probably not the Celtics, but against most teams who don't have 5 guys who can dribble, shoot, and pass.
So another piece of this as well, right? Towns is on a supermax that's like just kicking in. So like at least with Randle, he has a player option after this season, and you know, that's essentially an expiring, or, you know, you can try and move him. If it doesn't work with this, just smells and like a Knicks disaster to me. Like paying supermaxes to guys that are like fringe all-stars is how you completely fuck your roster up. That's what happens. And now the Knicks are like capped out. They've lost a ton of their picks. They sent out like one of their last remaining good picks ish in like because they don't really have any like real picks left after the Mikal Bridges trade. And so like if this doesn't work, it just reminds me of like reaching and making a decision when you don't really know what you have or what you need. Like, do they need to make this trade now? Like, yeah, Cat has a $62 million player option when he's 32. And so I have a question for you, Spoonie. Who do you think's played more games in the last 5 seasons, Kristaps Porzingis or Karl Anthony Towns?
Okay, I saw it in the run sheet, so I know the answer, but I was shocked. Like, I 100% would have said Towns without a hesitation.
Last 5 seasons, Karl Anthony Towns has played 250 regular season games. Kristaps Porzingis has played 273 regular seasons games.
Yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns tore his meniscus last season. Randle, is one of the more durable players in the NBA. So you just raised your risk profile from a health perspective as well. Raised your risk profile from a contract perspective as well.
Depth perspective too. Yeah.
You make these types of moves, like you go out and get Porzingis, and it's a luxury, And as we saw with this team, you knew Derek, Jalen, Jason, Horford, your floor is so high. Now you just inject a ton of uncertainty, I think, without seeing it. Obviously, you can see the talent, you can see it working. Last season, the Damian Lillard trade happened on the exact same day as this trade a year prior, and everyone around the NBA community was like, "Oh my God, the Giannis Dame pick and roll, it's going to be lethal." It's on paper, the perfect fit. The Jays, they're kind of diminishing returns having those two wings on the same team, but the big man Giannis and Dame, the pick and roll is going to be lethal. You just don't know, until you get on the court. Randle, I think Randle's been very healthy. Just to Moz in the chat.
Last year was an aberration for Randle,
a freak
for the most part.
Freak injury too, like a shoulder thing. But
he plays in a way that makes me think he's going to get hurt every time he touches the ball. But he's mostly. I mean, at least in comparison to Cat, he's been pretty healthy, is my recollection.
Looking at his career, 46 last year, but 77, 72, 71, 64, 73, 82, 74, 81. That's as healthy as it really gets. So
right. Yeah. So he's good. And frankly, he really helped Brunson with the creation burden, man. And we kind of touched on it, but I think it bears a little more discussion on that. Cat just absolutely cannot do that. And the foundation of their offense is going to be the Brunson Cat pick and pop, pick and roll. But I think you can just put Tatum on Cat if he's out there as the only big
100%.
And just switch it every time. And then it's then it goes nowhere. And then you're back to Jalen Brunson having to do everything, every single possession again.
Yep. So did Donte as well. That was exactly what DJ Ace talked about, man. And we saw it in the playoffs. You need guys that can create. If you're going to be that reliant on Brunson to be 6'2", very generous, 35% usage guard for the entire season, when you're now lacking in depth with Tibbs, which we talked about with DJ as well, already being concerned, and now you lose Donte as well. It's just a huge, huge ask, I think, for that guy to carry this team from start to finish. If the goal is to win a title, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and if the goal is to have some Eastern Conference Finals games in the Garden and make a bunch of money, they're definitely going to do that, or they will come very close to making the Eastern Conference Finals anyway, like they did last year. So I think probably the biggest takeaway from a Knicks perspective, and then maybe we get into the ad read and talk a little bit about the Wolves before media day, is that fundamentally, I think you can make an argument it makes them slightly better. I think you can make an argument it makes them slightly worse. But I think from a championship odds perspective, I think it's basically unmoved.
I think ceiling is higher, floor is lower.
Okay,
is how I look at it now. Because I was pretty confident the defense was going to be pretty excellent for the. I know the Mitchell Robinson thing complicated things for them, but you assumed that he'll be kind of back for the playoffs at least. But just Towns as your rim protector, and then I can see it now, man. The Nick crowd and Towns. He's going to do 2 bozo turnovers in a row, then get into foul trouble against the Sixers while Embiid's going nuts for 40 plus. And it's
against him every possession, posting him up, put him in the basket. He's going to turn down that open three, and the boos are just going to rain down, man. It's going to be. I'm going to cherish it. I'm going to cherish it.
He does the worst faces when he's like, "Oh, it wasn't a foul," and he's complaining to the coaches and the bench, and the entire bench is just not ignoring him because they all know it was an obvious foul. tough.
Tibbs might kill him. I'm serious. He might kill him. But anyway, all right, a word from Game Time. Alrighty, West Virginia University football just lost an absolute heartbreaker to our biggest rival, University of Pittsburgh, on this last Saturday. That just means WVU's primed to make a comeback this season. I'll be using Game Time to go to the next WVU game and watch them make their way to the Big 12 title, hopefully. Game Time has this new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time's not just great for sports. I was looking at tickets for one of my favorite brands, Lake Street Dive, who's playing in Pittsburgh in October. Super easy. Jumped on Game Time, typed in the band name, found the show. They had a super deal on floor tickets that actually made them cheaper than general admission. One of my favorite features too is the all-in pricing that you can toggle on, which shows you the full price of the ticket before you go to checkout. No surprise fees at checkout. And definitely check out those Game Time picks. They curate the events to make it easier for you to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. Woo! All right. Woo. So real quick, I think, we should probably do a couple minutes on the Wolves, even though the Knicks are far more important from a Celtics perspective. They're cutting money. They don't have to pay Karl Anthony Towns a ton of money. Question, do you think Randle's in their future plans, or do you think this is just cost saving, or they're going to try to move him somewhere else?
I don't think so. I would guess that and they're probably hoping it works great. He has a great season, shoots well, and maybe he can be a long-term piece there. But I think what they want to try and do is build a sustainable winner around Anthony Edwards, right? Because with this dumb CBA that Grant Williams negotiated, is that this is why they broke up the team. And we saw this coming. It's similar to the Celtics thing the next season after this, is that unless ownership's willing to pay the biggest luxury tax bill in the history of the sport, then they're going to have to break up the team. And that's kind of what this was, which is kind of a bummer for Wolves fans.
Totally.
Towns was easily a top 5 Timberwolf ever, which is kind of sad to say, but pretty easily. It's Ticket and then Anthony Edwards
Sam
is probably
Cassell.
2 already. Yeah, it's rough out there. And this was the most successful Timberwolves team since the Kevin Garnett era as well. And as soon as they get to the Western Conference Finals, they trade away their second best or third best player. So that kind of sucks for them. But
yeah, Danger Cart has been all over this. Even before this happened, last year, he was this CBA is going to punish the teams who build the correct way. And that's a really, really fucking stupid thing for a league to do, especially a league that's been built on 3 or 4 teams with an actual chance. And that's the teams everybody cares about. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing for the long-term health of the NBA to spread the talent out, but when it is affecting your team, it sucks, man. It's stupid. The Celtics are getting punished because they drafted 2 superstars and made really smart trades. Oh yeah, fuck us, what? And Timberwolves is the same, right? They finally figure out a way to cover Karl Anthony Towns' warts on defense and get the best out of him as kind of this super high volume shooting 4 combo 5-man. And you make the Western Conference Finals for the second time, I think, in your franchise's history, and it's gone. Now you have Julius Randle. Congratulations. So it's really dumb, but I'm not totally sure they're getting much worse. I don't like the fit as much. The fit, you can see the vision in New York. I don't really see the vision for Randle in Minnesota. They need shooting really bad, but the fit for Donte is he is exactly what they need on the wing next to McDaniels.
Yeah, perfect. They're going to love him. If that shooting season he had last year was real, and his shooting was already trending upwards, when you see a guy shoot with that kind of volume, that's a really good indicator that he's just an elite shooter, and he's always been pretty capable. That's a perfect fit next to those guys. So you replace Towns' shooting, if you're talking about just shooting, with Donte, and they're very comparable from that perspective. And Conley's getting older. Unless he is on the Al Horford program, not as common when it comes to guards, especially to age that well. They're going to need more creation. And that was what they ran into against the Mavericks when they finally ran into like a legitimate playoff defense. Was Anthony Edwards was really the only guy that could consistently create off the dribble, because Conley was battling injury pretty much through the whole playoffs, kind of in and out of the lineup. I think it was a calf. And so if he can come back healthy as an aging guy, and now you've got Conley and Randle as guys that can actually create their own shot, like can Randle create his own stuff, get two on the ball, and then kind of ease the burden, like similar to the Jays, right? Like, can you get, Jalen having one of the best playoffs of his life because the Celtics were so good at creating advantages, and you get him attacking off of those advantages? Can Randle do a version of that, without the incredible spacing of the Celtics? But can you get Anthony Edwards to, maybe not be as inefficient or struggle as much as he did in the Mavericks series by easing that creation burden?
Yeah. I think my concern, and Maz Neff in the chat here, Randle is a your turn, my turn guy, which is kind of my concern because Ant's sort of like that too. I think Ant will sort of blossom into what we kind of saw Tatum started to do the last couple of years, where he is like more running the offense instead of like trying to get his, and when it doesn't work, passing. But Ant is kind of like that, and Randle is kind of like that too. Randle, this is going to be a weird comparison. He kind of reminds me of like Malcolm Brogdon, where it's like Brogdon never wanted to pass, but guys would be open and he'd pass it because sometimes you had to bring hard help because he was so talented that like the team had to help. So he's like, fine, that guy's wide open, I'll pass it. Randle's kind of like that. Like he does rack up assists, a ton of assists for like a 4-5 man for sure. So, I can definitely see a world where like a Randle on the short roll out of an Ant Edwards pick and roll when you got to trap him because he's got it going, like that could be really dangerous. Like Randle is really destructive if he gets the ball out of a trap off the short roll. Like he will pick out shooters, or he will do that, like those bulldog drives where he gets to the rim, gets fouled, finishes. So there's something there. I think what scares me is like every other year he shoots well. And he shot poorly last year, so maybe he'll shoot good again. But I think it's just kind of he's a really inconsistent shooter, and that could really submarine their offense in a few ways. But then maybe you go Donte in those lineups sometimes instead of McDaniels, so you get more shooting out there. I don't know. It's in like there's a way this works out really well for Minnesota, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I thought Randle was a better shooter in my head, and then I went and looked at the numbers, and I was like, oh, it's
34 last year, I think.
33 career, 31 last year.
31 last year.
34 the year before that, 30 the year before, 41 before that, 27 before that.
And the 41 was the bubble season without fans. So take that, take that information as you will.
Which checks out because he shits himself in the playoffs. So it's like the one year where there's no fans, his playoff numbers are so bad. Like it's a fucking disaster.
Is he even shooting over 30% from three in the playoffs? Like
no, 28% career, 34% field goal, negative assist to turnover ratio. Like it's pretty brutal. So man, it's probably not going to work if we're being honest. Like if their goal is to win a title, then this is like not happening this year. But if they're able to, if they saw this, right, you got Donte on an incredible contract. I think he's like making like 12 million. Can Randle have a good half a season and then they flip him at the deadline for pieces that make more sense around Edwards? Like does, a Pistons team or whoever, it can be anyone. I haven't had time to really think about trades for those guys, but like, can they flip Randle into like that more sustainable winner going forward? That would be the move to me, because I think, man, the Towns contract, I'm surprised they were able to get like a star plus an elite role player back. So
and a pick.
So it's I think from an asset perspective, I think you got to like it for the Timberwolves more.
Yeah, and I wonder if the long-term vision is like McDaniels puts on some weight and he operates as the four, almost like how we use Tatum defensively. and then they try to find, these guys grow on trees. A 3-and-D wing with size, like you can just find those guys anywhere. Yeah. So I wonder if maybe that's the long-term vision there. It's like, let's free up some money for a guy who makes more sense at the 4 next to Rudy Gobert, or McDaniels takes that spot and then we replace his spot in the rotation with somebody else. So I don't know. Yeah, it is a fake pick. So, but that's all right. It's still, it looks good on paper. It
does look good on paper. I know. I think Ben put this in the run sheet. Is like Nas Reed just not a better 4 than Randle? Maybe. Like just the shooting alone might give him the edge there. Like, is there a jumbo lineup they can go to? Like Ant, McDaniels, Randle, Nas, Gobert. Like just go absolutely nuclear size.
So the Gobert, Cat, Reed threesome last year only shared the court for like 100 minutes, but their defensive rating was like 101 or something ridiculous like that. So maybe like that's out there. Like that's definitely worth experimenting with, because Minnesota's going to be fine in the regular season. Like
defensively, they're going to have a super high floor again. So like, because you got Rudy, you got McDaniels, you got Ant. Randall's a good defender, I think, like totality wise. Like he's a good rebounder for his position, size, strength. As long as he buys in. Like that's, which I think he will. I think he's going to be happy to be out of New York. I don't think he wanted to be there this season, like with the friendship team. So, which he was not a part of.
Donte, dude, how about that? He got kicked out of the frat party.
Well, I wonder if he also wanted to leave too, like because he just had this awesome season and he was looking at like probably playing like definitely under 30 minutes. Like he was going to be a 6th, 7th guy after having that breakout season. So, whereas like, you could start Donte and bring Conley off the bench as well, which would make sense if you want to like limit Conley's burden as he so he's more fresh for the playoffs as well.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I think Ant and Donte can kind of play shared ball handler role, like almost like Derek and Drew aren't like true point guards, right? They kind of share the creation burden with Tatum. You could totally do that with Donte, Anthony Edwards, and Randle. Like that works. That can make sense from a creation standpoint. You're finally getting more guys who can like dribble against. So like Cat can't dribble and break somebody down off the dribble. Like Randle can, and Donte can.
Yeah, I can see Eric Weiss in the chat. He's clearly a huge Donte fan. He's just like,
I am too.
100%. Yeah. So then I think they need ball handling. Ball handling so important in the playoffs, man. Like the number one thing teams are going to do is take away your number one guy. It's as simple as that. It's going to make life as difficult as possible for Anthony Edwards, which is what happened. And they didn't have a guy that could ease that burden. Now you bring in 2 guys that can help that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So I kind of see the vision. I'm just not sure. Yeah, like, and you're right about it's all on Randle buying in. Like, does he see this as like his long-term spot? And he's like, I want to play the way that makes sense for us to be the best version we can be. Somehow
he wants a contract.
Yeah, he does want a contract. So you better play like not be a ball hog and not shoot 29% from 3, Julius. But and apparently he just opened a school in the Bronx. That's awesome. Congrats, Julius Randle. That's really cool. We're already at 45 minutes somehow, Jake. So we should probably talk about Media Day a little bit, because we hit it a little bit last show, but like you tweeted this out. I think you said it like I could watch this for the rest of my life or something like that. The Jays 1-on-1 king of the court, dude. How amazing was that?
Dude, we got the video going live on YouTube here. Like, if I could have a wish, I wouldn't wish to go to Celtics practice, because I'd probably I'd wish for the first of the 4 to become the biggest podcast in the world, obviously. But like to go to a Celtics practice and specifically to just watch Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum play 1-on-1 for however long they played would be so much fun, dude. Like, it's the most cliche thing. Iron sharpens iron, dude. But like, this is the 8th year now of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum playing on the same team together, which is so fucking awesome. Like, we had Tatum do that interview with Jad Greenberg, and he was essentially saying like, I'm chasing Larry Bird. Like, I want to end my career as the best Celtic in Celtics history. And Larry Bird had 3 championships. I've got 1 now. I got 2 to go to even be in the conversation for someone as great as Larry Bird. And so for these guys now to keep like being so proud to be a Celtic, and almost like the bleeding green is going to a new level. And I think the championship obviously brings that out, but like the more hate that Tatum receives, like the contrast between how he's treated in Boston to how he's treated outside of Boston is becoming more and more stark. And you see videos like this, you see interviews like that. It just makes you like, this is what this week's all about. And everyone's jealous. I saw Anthony Irwin from the Lakers Twitter be like, the vibes from the Celtics seem immaculate and I hate it. And he's right. They're immaculate right now.
Yeah, dude, I saw JT and Mazzulla were playing Duck, Duck, Goose with a bunch of kids on the court after practice was over. It's like, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like that, the vibes are absolutely immaculate. And on that point, like 8 years together is a crazy long time. Like I'm trying to like rack my brain for some of like the best duos of all time. Like Kemp and Gary Payton, I think are like a legendary duo. They played together for 8 years. So like the Jays are going to go down like, you know, I don't want to use hyperbole here, but I'm about to. It's like the Pip and Jordan, where it's like their careers are inseparable from each other, which I think is really fucking cool. Plus, both their names start with J. We don't talk about that enough. Like that, how weird is that? That we have two superstars named J.
It's so awesome, dude.
Yeah. So I just think like they're going to be one of those legendary duos. Honestly, if they're retired next year, you could almost make an argument they are one of those legendary duos already. So it's just really cool. And the best part is like both of those dudes are locked up for 4 and 5 more years at least. So we're in very good hands. All right.
11 years for Pippen and Jordan. So
yeah, getting there, man. Getting there.
Literally, like if they play these contracts together, they will have played together for the same amount of time. And they'll still, and they'll still only be, Tatum will be 31 and Jalen will be, when his contract, same thing, right? They're still going to be like towards like the back half of their prime. It's so awesome, dude. Cause like, remember, you know, like there was the, like Tatum being a Lakers fan, obviously, and like you know, Lakers Twitter always hoping that he was going to come over there. It just feels like, and like we had that down 1920 season, and there's just been so much superstar movement, and like with Kevin Durant changing teams, LeBron obviously, but like this new era kind of feels like maybe they're resetting it a little bit. Like Booker's been there for a while. We'll see what happens with them. They might have no choice, but Tatum and Jalen definitely feel like they're going to be like one of those historic duos to have just been on the same team and have like a ton of success for an entire era, which is like, that's what you want as a fan. That's it.
Yeah, there is nothing more fulfilling as a fan than watching your homegrown stars turn into superstars and win championships. It is super rare for that to happen. Like the Warriors got to see it. I don't count Cleveland's championship as homegrown because LeBron is a mercenary and he just went there because he thought it was a better situation. But like Miami bought their championships and like whatever, we bought the 08 championship essentially. And like, that was amazing. I'm not really hating on that, but it's just a little bit more fulfilling when it is like your guys that you've watched since their rookie year, and the Jays are our dudes. So it's awesome. I'm really, really fucking excited for this year. And like they won it already. So it's like, even if you don't win the championship, it's like, they got one at least, you know? So that's far more success than many, many franchises in the NBA have ever had in their entire histories. So anyway, Tatum's jump shot, Jake. Thoughts? The shot doctor, Jake Eisenberg.
That's right.
What do we got?
Harmless shooter. That's what they call me.
Yeah.
So It does look different to the stuff that I looked at a little bit, but like we're talking minor tweaks here, and all the tweaks, like it looks a little bit faster. The ball he's like not taking it down as much, because I almost don't know what I'm looking for when I'm going back and comparing the shots, to be honest. Like, as I said in my article, like I don't really know what I'm looking at. A lot of the time, like where I should be looking. But when you really slow it down from that practice video to some of the shots from last year, he was kind of pulling the ball from the left at times and bringing it up. So you could tell that it looked good here. But did his shot look good in practice last season? Like, it's all well and good for his shot to look good in like a catch and shoot drill, right? Like, let's see how it looks, and if it goes in, like that's all that really matters to me, obviously. But hey, man. Let's believe that it's fixed, and he's about to have a 42% 3-point shooting year.
Dude, if he shot 42% on his volume, like he would win the MVP. Yeah. He'd average like 34, 8, and 7, or probably 5 or 6. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
Let's go. Yeah.
A game. But yeah. He averaged like 40, 15, and 19. I don't know, something like that. I find it really hard. Like Marcus Smart is one dude. Like if I watch a shot from his rookie year to now, I can tell the difference and it's changed. Tatum's really hard, man. He's always been kind of like mechanical with his release in a lot of ways, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it looks maybe a little more fluid to me. And I'm sorry, Maine in the chat said the dip hitch is gone. Maybe that's what it is. He's not dipping the ball first, then coming up. It's not like he's not pulling the lever and then getting the ball up. He's just going straight up with little dips. So maybe that's it. Yeah, to your point. Also, he shot 37% from three in the regular season. So like, how broken was it really? I don't know, but he's making it in practice, which is a lot better than the opposite. So I'm choosing to be, irrationally excited about it.
Yeah, man. Why not? Look, until he's, but man, that first, the preseason, when that first three goes up, there's just so much pressure, it feels like, on his 3-point shot now for like no reason. Well, not no reason, but unnecessary pressure on his 3-point shot. And I think that has more to do with it, probably. It's just like the mental side of things. Just let it fly, dude. Doesn't matter if it goes in or not. Just give us 35%. I'll ask you this. Before the season starts, if I give you 35.6% from three for the season on his same volume, are you taking it?
I think I probably am.
Easily. No questions asked, dude. That's totally fine with everything else that he's giving you.
Yeah. For sure. And like on the types of threes he takes, like step backs with people in his face, like that's not a bad percentage at all. So he like I would totally take that. I think that, it's not ideal, obviously, but that's plenty good. Like it is well above points per shot, 50% from 2-point range, well above that. And that's kind of the breaking point for me, is like 33%. It's like, if you're getting over that, you need to be shooting threes. And if you're below that, your name is probably Julius Randle. So one guy that kind of stuck out, I think Lonnie Walker, like he said, I think Brad told him he might be in the G League, and he was like, I'm totally down for that. Like, I'm down to do whatever. You buying?
That was crazy.
Yeah. Are you buying new Lonnie Walker? Are you buying born again Lonnie?
He's had a PR, dude. He's paid good money for whoever's training him for this training camp, dude. Every word out of his mouth is just gold. Like, he's like, I've been trying to emulate Derek White since day one. And I was like, maybe that one you should have like not said, because it hasn't worked out for the first 5 years of your career. But yeah, man, the fact that he was like, Brad talked to me about, look, I'm not on a guaranteed contract. I might have to go down to the G League, prove myself. That's an insane thing to say. The fact that a guy that like swung a playoff series last year, has played like over 1,000 NBA minutes, is going to have to play in the G League potentially. The Knicks could actually use Lonnie Walker, which I got a little bit scared about, because once Lonnie goes to the G League, right, he can just be picked up, no? Like, I don't.
Yeah, right? We have no rights to him. Yeah, sure.
So I would imagine someone like, because he's like, could be like Donte light, and would fit for them quite well. And that would make me really sad if he left after everybody being so excited and myself being so excited, and then going to be good for them. But I have to, and we're going to do this on the next pod before the preseason. We're going to power rank who's most likely to like make the team, take the last rotation spot. But man, like, he's just such a talented dude. And if he's going to like really, really buy in, I feel like he's going to make the team, but I don't know.
Eric Weiss and I like kind of bonded between our Lonnie love, our irrational love for Lonnie Walker. So like a bought in Lonnie Walker that like at least executes the defensive scheme and shoots the ball the way he shot the ball last year is like a seventh man to me. Like, he has a shitload of talent, like way more talent than like Svi Mykhailiuk. Like Svi, I think a different level of shooter, maybe reads the game better. But Lonnie is like like a legitimate athlete who can shoot the ball. And like, if he gets his mind right and like does what we need him to do and doesn't go, it's Lonnie's time now, baby, which he is very prone to do at times, he could be a really, really legitimately good player. So this is like step one. This is how you make your way into the Celtics. You start saying all the right things. You go in, Brad brings you into the office. He's got that like spiral wheel that hypnotizes you. And then he just starts saying things like Kaizen and like, you need to like, the team is bigger than I am and I'll do anything it takes to carve out a role on this team. So Lonnie has clearly been hypnotized by Brad Stevens. Really, we all have. So I'm excited I'm excited for Lonnie, dude.
Everybody's life goes a lot better once you get hypnotized by Brad Stevens. Like I've seen the miracles that Brad Stevens and the Jays have worked on the rest of the guys that have stopped in Boston. Grant Williams got a beautiful contract. Gordon Hayward, $120 million in Charlotte. Like if you come and play in Boston with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Brad Stevens, things typically tend to work out pretty freaking well for you one way or another. So that's probably what he's seen. And like, that's what he's obviously trying to achieve long-term. Like, can he get another minimum somewhere? Maybe, but like, can you spend some time with the Celtics, find a foothold and get a guaranteed contract, like a 4-year or a 2 or 3 year contract, even if it's at a lower number? That's still huge money for the average person. So that's what he's hoping, obviously.
Yeah, Svi got paid. Dude didn't even play last year. So
that was wild.
Yeah, that was really wild. But so we'll wrap up. We got a few more minutes, couple more things to hit. But before we get there, we got a message from Factor Meals. So about a year ago, a big cold box was delivered to my front door. It turns out my wife had decided to order Factor. It was one of the best decisions she's made. The first meal I had was like this chili mac and cheese, and I've been hooked ever since. It's absolutely delicious. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? Treat yourself to restaurant quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, which is not my selection, but some people do enjoy that, or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/floor50 and use code FLOOR50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code FLOOR50, floor50 at factormeals.com/floor50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Eric, that was a hilarious comment that I shall not repeat. Dude, Joe Mazzulla, caps on the hoops. What are we doing here?
I love it, baby. I love it. So look, this is obviously the caps on the hoop thing, and all the team talking about the weird arrows on the court and all the weird exercises that he's been doing is like classic Mazzulla. But I will say, like, if you zoom out a little bit from Mazzulla, year one, he gets the job with Ime, getting fired for being too horny and has like to learn on the job. Last season, he like took a massive step forward as a coach when he actually had an off season to figure out how to be a head coach. Now he knows how to be a head coach. Now, again, this is like his second real year, third year as a head coach. He's like really knows how to be a head coach and now gets to dive into like being more creative and more psychotic than he has been previously, which we saw the clip where like everyone's running in practice and he's just like screaming like, you should want to run after you win. It's like, oh, let's go, Joe. So yeah, man, like it's all funny, like the caps on the ring, like getting points for rebounds. Like that's winning the margins, dude. Like you got this much talent and then you like hammer home the margins is why this Celtics team is so freaking dominant. So I love it, dude.
Yeah, I absolutely love Joe. Obviously, I'm extraordinarily biased as a WVU alumni as well. But and you know we're best friends now, so that goes a long way too. But so I was writing this thing about Joe and the Celtics execution. So I was looking for like stuff like plays where like not a ton seemingly happens, like especially on the defensive end, and like really focusing in on all the individual off-ball defenders. This team is so absurdly well drilled. It's ridiculous. Like every time like Luka had the ball high above the break, like the little fades all the off-ball guys did to adjust and cut off driving lanes and just get hands in his face and just make life difficult for him. it's like incredible. It's like inch perfect execution. And like that is all Joe. Like Udoka was like, we were just like a force of nature defensively, just like up in your face, switch everything. And I don't think this team is quite as defensively talented as that team was, just because you can't replicate that version of Rob Williams with like anybody in history just about. And Joe has brought them to being a complete elite defense, and almost no matter like what lineup is out there. And that is like all coaching. So all hail Joe Mazzulla and his madness. All right, go ahead.
No, he's been awesome. I'm excited to see what he's got in store for the Celtics this season. The psychology of Mazzulla and trying to repeat is really important. Like, he's, apparently like, we're not talking about the title. I don't want to hear any of this. Like, you're a champ, we're a champ. That's over. Season starts. But yeah, man, like I think that's gonna matter. I'm loving all the Knicks fans in the chat here. I appreciate you guys tuning in. It's so funny, dude. Like, you guys won 50 games. You guys have done nothing. I saw Sixers fans and Knicks fans arguing with each other about how pathetic each other are over the past like history of the NBA. Like, you both have like one conference finals appearance in the last like multiple decades. Like, it's so embarrassing, dude. Like, you guys have done nothing. Like, oh, the Celtics aren't a super team. They were objectively one of the most dominant teams in NBA history by any metric you want to look at. And they have the most talent, the most continuity, the best health bet in the Eastern Conference by a freaking mile. Like, you guys, it's going to be sad. And you should temper your own expectations, dude. It is so hard to win a title, and it is so hard to do it when you're worse than the other team. Like, I saw someone say, the Celtics are beatable in a 7-game series. It's actually the opposite, dude. If it was a 1-game series, then you might have an actual chance. When it comes to a 7-game series, absolutely no chance. This Celtics podcast is infested with Celtics fans. Huge surprise from username Knicks will be 2025, 26 champs, dude. Very, very funny.
Yes. This podcast about the Celtics is shockingly about the Celtics, which is unbelievable. Tatum has a super team. They were 5 points per 100 possessions better with him on the court versus off. In the playoffs, it's almost like maybe the super team, he's a big reason why. But you're goddamn right, we have a super team. That's right. That's why we won the title, and hopefully we do it again. All right, so before we go, Massachusetts has a way of ingraining you into their culture very quickly, whether it's the clam chowder, whether it's the lobster rolls, whether it is, smoking parliaments after a couple beers, that is just massive. You're getting some Dunkins on a hangover. That's mass hole to the core. And Baylor Shireman has transformed already. He looks like he's straight out of Wista. Like, I just love it. I want him to talk with like a shitty Boston accent, like when he gives his first post-game interview or something. Like, I don't know what happened. He looks like an entirely different person.
He looks like a thicker, bigger Peyton Pritchard.
He does, dude.
Yeah. And we love that because we love our PP. And any thicker, bigger versions can only be better, dude. So he sounds like he's going to play a ton in the G League. That's what the messaging has been so far. But who knows, man? We'll see. That rotation spot is up for grabs. It sounds like he had his work cut out for him in the first day of training camp. Like he was like, they basically told me to be less fat. It's like they were like, you need to be like way more athletic to have a chance to defend in the NBA. And good on him, dude. He's looking pretty lean to me, dude.
Yeah. He never mind. I'm gonna keep that comment in my pocket and not say it. Maybe on the Patreon show I'll bust it out. But I think the Celtics do a really good job of getting guys reps in the G League. So I'm not surprised Baylor's going to get reps in the G League. It's a little concerning that he's already 25 and he's going to be getting reps in the G League. But Eric Weiss, you're totally right. Baylor has the frame. If he can shed some weight, get a little quicker laterally, and the shooting comes around, but sticks around. He'll definitely have a role in the NBA for a very long time. So it's interesting. But I'm just glad he has already ingratiated himself into Boston so immediately. It's beautiful. The chain too. Like, what are we doing here, Baylor? I love it.
I've seen that guy in the Celtics crowd a million times.
Oh yeah, dude. That is like 30% of the population in Massachusetts. Awesome. Yeah, it's the best. All right. We should probably wrap it up. It's been over an hour. Ben will kill us if we go much longer. Although I'm sure we probably could just talk about Baylor Shireman's new look. So Jake, buddy, thanks as always. This was great, and we are out.